party in the Interruption, but I'm Pablo Torre. I am on the road in Boston for a conference, but I rushed over to host with you, Tony.
Tony Kornheiser. Sounds a little thirsty, TBH. You like the way I said that, thirsty, TBH?
Yeah, this is a disturbing evolution of your otherwise prodigious vocabulary. Didn't think that was going to be in it.
Yeah, well, I read what they write for me because I'm a show monkey. Are you in Boston for anything to do with Harvard, your alma mater? Which I say with contempt.
It's MIT. It's a lesser institution in MIT this time, so you know. Just for the record.
MIT is another great school. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. Wilbon has bailed on you. So here to handle his workload is our great friend, the host of the podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, Mr. Pablo Torre. Good. And we begin today with the Lakers coming back from a double-digit deficit in the second half and beating the Knicks in overtime, and the Warriors going on the road and beating the Nets, and my friend Charles Barkley talking about some on-air talent at ESPN being, quote, fools and idiots for paying too much attention to the Lakers and the Warriors at the expense of Cleveland and Oklahoma City, who Charles thinks are clearly the best teams in the NBA. Pablo, which teams deserve more attention now? The Warriors and the Lakers or the Cavaliers and the Thunder?
It's the Cavs and the Thunder, but I love being in this newsroom with you and our new ombudsman, Charles Barkley. Tony, I love that this is a conversation about what should we cover? What's A1? And to me, if we are a daily newspaper right now, okay, yeah, let's consider the Lakers, let's consider the Warriors. I get it. Luka, Jimmy Butler, they're really good now. They have been for a couple of games, several games, weeks even. But the season, right? If we're doing a big zoom out takeout piece, I'm telling you that the 6 greatest teams in NBA history by point differential, both of the Thunder and the Cavs are on the list. Thunder number 1, Cavs number 6. And so this is one of the great defenses in Oklahoma City with an MVP, with the MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and one of the great offenses in Cleveland. And we should celebrate how crazy it is that history is being made in those small markets as we speak. That's the story of the season to me. Sir Charles on that level is totally right.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with both of you just a little bit here. But first of all, I want to say that I'm thrilled if Charles Barkley wanted to call me a fool or an idiot. I love Charles. I'm so happy that TNT show is coming over here. And I hope that next year that Charles wants to be a guest on this show, as he has been many times before, and he calls me a fool, and I'll be the fool on the hill, you know, see the sun going down, you know, and stuff like that. Thank you. Shout out to the Beatles. But in terms of the story that we're talking about, okay, you and Charles are hardcore basketball fans. You are concerned with the upper echelon in the season, which teams are up there and who might be the championship teams. And I get that. And Cleveland and Oklahoma City are far ahead of everybody else at the moment. And that's true. Small markets, but very worthy teams. But if you're a regular fan, an average fan, and you have a connection to people you've seen for a number of years, big stars, you're familiar with them, and you want to be entertained, right now, the greatest entertainment is probably the Lakers and probably the Warriors, and there is a great sense of continuity to it. It is a fact, and it is great fortune, Pablo, for the NBA, great fortune that Jimmy Butler is now in San Francisco with Steph Curry, and Luka Doncic is now in Los Angeles with LeBron James. These are big markets. This is gold, Jerry. That's what it is. They got 4 rings each. LeBron's got 4, Steph's got 4. At the moment, Donovan Mitchell has 0. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has 0. In due time, maybe. But I'm suggesting to you that right now, if you're in the NBA office, you are thrilled that it's the Warriors and the Lakers again, and they're relevant playoff teams, and they are higher up on the NBA scale, even in that office, than the guys on the top of the mountain, Cleveland and Oklahoma City.
It's an incredible thing that the NBA went from how do we follow up LeBron and Steph? Well, let's give LeBron Luka, let's give Steph Jimmy Butler, right? Like the whole look, the magic formula of NBA attention has been superstars, controversy, and rings. My only concern is that we do to these teams in Cleveland, Oklahoma City, a version of what we did to the 73-9 Warriors, which is to say, if they don't win a ring, we're going to discard them. we are going to forget about them. And so I'm just concerned that right now the coverage should be around what is happening in front of us, because it's not guaranteed that we're going to ever talk about them again if they don't actually win the thing that, Sir Charles, by the way, has also been searching for his whole life, I believe.
Those Warriors who had the greatest record, those Warriors, they lost. They did not win the ring. But those Warriors have 4 rings. They got 4 rings. That's a lot of rings.
But Mark Cuban, Tony, I want to move to this story. He gave his first detailed public comments on the Luka trade, as referenced, to WFAA. The man who recently sold his majority stake in the Mavericks said, quote, "If the Mavs are going to trade Luka, that's one thing. Just get a better deal." No disrespect to Anthony Davis, but if we had gotten 4 unprotected number ones and Anthony Davis and Max Christie, this would be a different conversation, end quote. So Tony, what did you hear in Cuban's comments there?
I heard what any reasonable person heard, that it's an insane trade, that it's a terrible mistake, that it's a franchise-killing trade. Nico Harrison traded one of the greatest young worldwide basketball players to pick up a fine player in Anthony Davis, but an aging player and a player who is hurt a lot. Anthony Davis, I believe, will be 32 years old next week. That is middle age in the NBA. Luka Doncic has just turned 26. Look, you can trade Luka, but you better bring back Antetokounmpo or Jokic or Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, that's what you have to do. You can't make this trade. I mean, to me, you got to get rid of a general manager who makes a trade like that, because it's terrible for that team. I mean, you're banking on the fact you're trading your future away for a small sliver of contention, 2 to 3 years, but it's all based on Anthony Davis's health, and he's never healthy.
Yes. Mark Cuban, to me, what I heard is that he's having his cake and eating it too. That's the sound I heard. Mark Cuban, Nico Harrison, by the way, the GM you just referenced, Mark Cuban hired him. That's his guy. The ownership group that runs the team that has empowered Nico Harrison to make truly the most embarrassing transaction in recent sports history.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the group he sold his team to. That's the group that, when it was first announced, by the way, Mark Cuban was supposed to be still involved in basketball operations. And only now, after this trade happens, do you realize, actually, Mark Cuban never had that power at all. So to me, it just feels like he's protesting a little bit too much. It feels like you can draw a straight line from Mark Cuban to this decision, and it is the worst, and it is a nightmare, and it's also kind of on him.
So I'm going to say this. I said it to Wilbon the other day, and he poo-pooed it, but I'm going to say it because I believe in it. It's just my theory, that I'm not going to be surprised if they move this team to Las Vegas at some point. I mean, what kind of ownership, honestly, what kind of ownership trades Luka Doncic, then listens to the fans, their plaintive cry, their sadness, and then their anger, and then raises ticket prices? What kind of ownership does that? A kind of ownership that is not committed to this particular area. Happy trails, Brad Marchand. The Bruins are reportedly trading their captain to their division rival, the Florida Panthers. This is a stunner. The Panthers have knocked the Bruins out of the playoffs the last 2 seasons, and Marchand and his new teammate, Matthew Tkachuk, have mixed it up in the past. With Tkachuk out for at least the rest of the regular season with a groin injury, and the Bruins in freefall, the trade deadline makes for strange bedfellows. Also today, the Hurricanes, who recently traded for Mikko Rantanen, I hope I pronounced that right, traded him to the Stars, where he's reportedly agreed to an 8-year extension.
Marchand, by the way, the most suspended player in NHL history. Yes, that guy is must-see television.
Big finish, here we go. Browns owner Jimmy Haslam reportedly rejected a meeting with Myles Garrett, who wants out of Cleveland. Are you surprised?
I am. He's directing him to the GM, a kind of competent move for an owner I don't expect competence from. The Commanders, meanwhile, re-signed linebacker Bobby Wagner and released defensive tackle Jonathan Allen. Your thoughts?
Bobby Wagner has been great. Now, he's been a leader on that team. The Yankees say Giancarlo Stanton won't be ready anytime soon as he battles tennis elbow in both arms. Your thoughts?
The both arms thing is just stop playing tennis, I guess. The 11-year-old kid, Paul Skeens rookie card, remember that kid? Up to $420 grand at auction with 13 days left. Your thoughts?
I'm out of it. I went as high as $4. I'm done. Last one, your Cavs go for their 13th win in a row tonight in Charlotte. I assume you like their chances.
Love their chances. One of the great offensive teams of all time.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. And I'm Tony Kornheiser.